Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves 3 tracks from an act named Navashia Akins. The first of these told last time, and if we switch over to here, we've got ourselves the YouTube channel Self-Love Shutdown with Navashia. So these are all, I think, as I understand it, about self-love, because they are a self-love expressionist. So I think this is going to be an interesting angle to explore. And we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start to finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, last time. Interesting use of those pan vocal takes, chops.
You play with me for the last time. You're lying to me like I got time. It could be so beautiful, our relationship. Rather lie to me. Step to me and ask me to be.
I'll turn it up a little bit.
Your wife when you wanna play single, play single. I never told you that I was ready. Never told you, but I love you, so I said yes, 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 yes. You play with me for the last time, last time. Now I think I wanna change my mind. Change my mind.
I mean, it's fairly easy to follow along to.
I will feel it, and I never would have to question your motives. You will always will be right there for me. What you promised to me.
So, like, just a general comment. While I am getting a lot of the words through clearly, it's not all of the words. So it could be just because the track overall just seems a little bit quieter than a lot of the stuff I listen to, maybe because we haven't put like a really sort of aggressive limiter on it. But I think if anything, there just could be some work done for future tracks and just getting a little bit more clarity of the vocals within the mix.
I know you wasn't ready because you don't have. You wasn't ready.
Because some of it is really good, don't get me wrong.
You connected to me because I was pretty, but you didn't know that I was fighting demons, fighting demons. See, I've been overcompensated.
And I like the call and responses are effective. So I think that is the track there, Last Time, a song about letting go. Now, my thoughts on this track, first of all, I think it's, as you got from the story, it's about someone letting go of a relationship, a connection I had to someone else, simply because it just wasn't worth continuing or trying to revive or resuscitate it. Maybe there were some mismatched expectations. We weren't able to sort of accept each other. I think the singer mentioned that they were going through some demons. They liked the looks, but they were dealing with some demons at the time. So you just get the feeling that it was just sort of like maybe the wrong time, the wrong place, but also a situation where, you know, the singer felt like they deserved better than what they got, and it'll be the last time that they were put in that position by someone else, I suppose. In terms of things I liked about this track, I thought that the actual vocal melodies, the decisions we were making in regards to them were smart. I liked the call and responses we had would have one line and would repeat the words. And I liked some of the vocal panning of things around as well as the double tracking. On the flip side of that, and this is usually I'll leave until a little bit later on, I think that there could have, in the actual mixing part of it, we could have potentially filtered out a little bit of the low end below 100 or 150 hertz, simply to allow the vocals to float a bit more in the mix. Because I feel like about half of the energy, frequency-wise, from the vocal take was maybe some like lower stuff that wasn't necessarily adding to it. And that wasn't a deliberate thing, I don't think, unless we were going for that sound. But I just feel in terms of added clarity, especially because it sounded like some elements of the production were being pushed, like there was digital distortion on the 808, and that could be a deliberate decision, but it did sound like it was being pushed regardless, especially for like a chill track like this. I'm not sure if that's suited, but I think that, yeah, if we can just filter the vocals next time, I think otherwise it's a very good effort. And in addition to that, the actual instrumental backing behind it is very chilled and very relaxed. I enjoyed the sound of the guitar takes on the side of the field, and I appreciate how they sort of ascended, and they were very sort of like fragrant with their arpeggio decisions. I think that the sort of the slow attack on those synths made it sort of very kind of smooth and sort of wishy-washy, and like in a way that almost looks things. It's like we're looking back, but also almost meditating on it. I think there was a good level of bass response, even with how much the 808s were pushed. And I think that the drums had a nice sort of like a chill, sort of low-key tone to them, where there wasn't a whole lot of spice to them. And I don't think it would have suited, especially in a track where we're sort of trying to heal rather than sort of pointing the finger. Finally, I think I appreciated the structure of it. I think at 3 minutes 13, we got a lot out of it. There was like a couple of verse and chorus parts here with further context and elaboration on it. And we had the hook line there. I think we also had a sort of an interlude part where we kind of went back into the chorus afterwards. We rose in our range, and we tried to do some really fun stuff with the vocals. I think for the most part worked well. Again, it's just some of the production comments I made earlier, but that's all a learning curve, you know. I feel like for now, a lot of the fundamentals are adhered to, and I think just we didn't really have any filler within this. You know, you could argue that you could have put like an additional lead instrumental, developed it further, but I'm not sure if that would have necessarily benefited the story or the track overall. It would depend on the context of the overall sort of set list we have, which is why we're going to move on to the next track in a moment. And then we have Cutthroat, a song about betrayal and survival, track number 2.
Baby lie. I said why you so cutthroat. I don't know, they made me that way. Baby lie.
Great use of Beltry there.
I said why you so cutthroat. I don't know, they made me that way. To give everybody everything they wanted and everything they needed, but when I needed something, no one ever there for me, and then I always had to end.
I'm just going to confirm something really quick. Here, my volume. So, like, I've got a meter on the side in the recording software I use, and it's called OBS, and there is a meter on this, and usually it's about negative 20 decibels, which seems a bit weird, but that's where a lot of sort of like commercial releases are at, about negative 20. Just feel free to take my word on that if you're not familiar with it. And so for this track here, it's about 30. So that means it's roughly 10 dB quieter than most tracks which are currently released. And I don't have an issue with that. It's nice to have a track that isn't trying to sort of push itself too much in the actual limiter a bit.
Whatever they needed and wanted, nothing in return but some love and respect. But never was I ever getting that. I got disrespected and treated like a fool. I got called a trick, and that ain't what I do. I don't even know what these people really own. They entitled spirit as something I'm not on. I don't understand how people think that you owe them something for them, and it's only daylight. You only gone one night, so how you living with it? Then they wanna ask me something like I'm giving you. I ain't got nothing, I ain't got nothing for you. I got something for me and me, my family, y'all, and I ain't really cooking, but hey, y'all better ask me one question, be alright. I sure why you so cutthroat. I don't know, but they made me that way. don't wanna hear it no more. If you went through what
I mean, the rapping's actually fantastic. I like the flow of it.
trying to help people out again, that's something that you never heard. I think not they try to act like you ain't did nothing for me. And I'm sick and tired of it cause I owe them nothing. Everybody gotta take care of what they self. I don't understand why they think I always gotta help, but I'm not even worrying about it no more. If they say it's cutthroat, then I really don't care. That ain't really cutthroat, I'm just taking care of me. Ain't that the same thing they doing? When they taking from me and they whole family, then I am back looking for myself. I'm just saying, that's why I am so cutthroat. Because they taking over you.
I like the interesting rhythm. That interesting synth lead. It's just kind of intoxicating. It's a fun idea rhythmically. Is that it? Damn, that was short. So what I will say, because this is Cutthroat, track number 2, I do think it's about someone who is talking about having to get out of sort of like a toxic relationship. Maybe it's sort of like in reference to last time where like we realized that we didn't want to go through that situation again, that we deserved better, you know, like that we just had a mismatch here. Now it's like, oh, there's some actual danger. I need to sort of like take care of my family and everything like that. I need to do what I can in order to get out of this, sort of live a better life. Yeah, and they're just sick and tired of what people are saying about them. And so I feel like the actual kind of attitude from the rapping here, the kind of sassiness of it is fantastic. Genuinely. I think that is exactly what we need from this. We're almost sort of like confrontational in regards to asserting ourselves that we're not going to deal with that behavior anymore. And I appreciate it. I think that was a smart move. It does also help that we were really competent with it. A lot of the comments I want to stress are positive in regards to the actual way that we are singing and rapping. I feel like a lot of what we're doing is really positive in terms of the actual like approach to melodies and harmonies, and the ideas we have are totally sound musically. And I think that going between those sort of overdubs there, those clean parts with the rap parts and the verses was just smart. So the vocals in this, I appreciate what we're trying to implement. I also think there's just like a kind of innate sort of like continued sassiness with the you know, it's not a super intense sounding track. Like it could have been really kind of aggressive, but they didn't want that. I think they wanted to be this sort of semblance of catchiness continued here. So I like that the mood is pretty sort of like relaxed in that regard, and that a lot of maybe some of the edge is coming through from the mic. But I think there's almost like a positive spin to it, even there, though there's like a minor key. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, there's a minor key for the root chord of the key signature, but it's like the actual mid to high range resonance of it, the actual tones and textures the instruments used are almost kind of like instruments used in a track, which was kind of like celebrating something. So it's got a kind of a futuristic kind of almost sense of fluffiness about it in a positive way, where there's like a weird warmth to it in a way where I think we're celebrating the fact that we're aware of what we're talking about in the vocals, and the instruments are trying to replicate that. And I think the third thing is that I like the fact that there is diversity within the actual backing beat itself. I like the fact that we are adjusting the instrumental layers to not have everything all the time. I just feel like even in a track that is as short, at 2 minutes 42, if you take for granted that the person listening is just going to handle the exact same thing repeated or looped over and over for like 2.5 minutes, you're just not going to get particularly far. So I appreciate that there is variety compositionally, and that we are also mirroring that and adjusting to sort of like transition with so there's a chemistry between the lead elements and the backing parts. So I do feel this is a solid track. And I did, aside again from, I will note here that production-wise on the vocals, and this is just me being transparent. I'm trying to, I'm not trying to be sort of like mean about it. There is audible sort of distortion on the microphone. And so what I would say is, because we are now releasing music and there's a lot of promise with it, I would personally, as a reviewer, recommend if we can look at some point to upgrade to maybe like a dynamic mic or a condenser mic or something like that, where we get just a clearer signal on that microphone. I think just something like, even like a little, if we're not using audio, because I don't know the situation, but just it sounds like we might be using a microphone that isn't necessarily meeting the needs or the scope of what we're trying to get to here. So if we are looking to sort of upgrade to a better microphone or a better interface, I feel like now is the time, because there's a lot of promise. But then finally, we have Touch Me, a soulful song about pure and deep love. I mean, that guitar line's kind of pretty, especially with those natural harmonics. Four, 4 or 6, 8? 4, 4.
A feeling that I have never felt. You went free, so mentally, I had to give you all of me because you connected to me mentally.
Great resonance with that 808 there. I like it. The layering vocally here is kind of cool. Just in case I figured at the end, I'm noticing that some of these overdubs are in the center of the stereo field, and I'm wondering if we can pan some of them to the sides of the stereo field so that the music surrounds us in the headphones. Even if it's like 50% either side. I like the little whisper part before. Okay, so that was cool. All right, no, I vibe with that. So that was Touch Me, and I think that this third track was more about, as the title said, a soulful song about pure and deep love. It's just wanting to have that kind of physical connection to someone, whilst also being supposed, emotionally and sort of psychologically invested in them. And I think a lot of people will be able to relate to. I do not think that that is a foreign concept. I believe that a lot of the messaging within these tracks so far have been profusely positive. I think that I've got very little complaints about this music. I think overall it's very, very solid, and I feel like it's good. So there's definitely an audience for that there. There's more to it nuance wise, but that's the main summation of it. It's about all the feelings, thoughts related to that. There being, maybe there being distance and being uncomfortable with that distance and wanting that touch. And so one of the things I appreciate about this track is the actual layering of the overdubs with the main takes. and the call and responses. And then like the whispered touch parts at the end were a really cool new thing that we haven't really done before. And I think that a lot of power with that kind of sort of situation there is spreading it around the stereo field. So you might have mains here, that, and you might have touch, 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 kind of go backwards and forwards. You could do lots of fun stuff with the actual positioning of these sounds within the stereo field. You could have it like, but that, and even if that's like a little bit too kind of too active, it's about just finding ways to sort of add continued interest and points of engagement for the listener. And that sounds kind of scientific, and that's honestly because at that point a lot of music composition is. It's just about finding the right buttons to press and just keeping people interested, because we just cannot take people's attention for granted. But so I think that the ideas vocally are strong here, and I like how they're implemented for the most part. It's just like a panning, and then my other comments in regards to the production. Although I did hear a lot more of the words clearly in this one. It didn't sound as pushed as per the previous take, where there was a bit of distortion on the vocal take in parts earlier on. And when I say distortion, not like a guitar solo distortion, but like, just in case we're not aware, like the gain is clipping on the mic kind of situation. So I think in addition to that, I liked how low-key the guitar part was. It's almost like you can kind of imagine someone at a campfire speaking their truth on this. It's very relaxing, and it's just really sort of like friendly and chill sounding. And these sort of jazzy kind of, they show complexity emotionally, those extensions with the major and minor triads there. And it's just a very kind of soft, easy to listen texture too. And there was no harshness in it. Like, we might have had like we had bass, but the bass was relatively subtle in this. It was down low, and it wasn't trying to sort of be too abrasive. And I think we also had an organ in the background, or some sort of low, if I'm not mistaken. And I just feel like that is sort of like a sense of just aura to it. A sense of almost, I suppose, spirituality to it. Like, we're having an outer body experience with how much we want to have that connection with someone. I'm not quite sure. Like, we're trying to reach out to that person on like maybe a spiritual. I'm not sure, but either way, there are sort of like attempts made to keep everything sort of really neatly tied together in terms of the actual chemistry, but also compositionally, thematically. And again, I just think it's the actual overall theme itself to sort of like finish here. I just think that it's just the lack of percussion. Was there a lack of percussion? Oh no, there were like little clicks. But the lack of drums here, a driving drum beat, just really did like kind of let us sit there. And we almost had a waltz like feel, like we were dancing through our own emotions and sort of thoughts, which that slower tempo just made it more of a kind of a introspective experience there. You could just sit with it, sort of like let yourself gently figure it out, have the story told to you, and sort of enjoy your time with it. But ultimately, I mean, like, with that in mind, welcome to the conclusion of my review of these 3 tracks from Navashia Akins of Self-Love Shutdown with Navashia on YouTube. This is the last time Cutthroat and Touch Me. Those are the 3 tracks I've listened through today. I've spoken about each of them in their individual sort of track sections, and each of them has a little mini conclusion at the end with things I appreciate about them individually. Overall, I think if I was to sort of give some brief comments about the tracks, I feel like we've got some really good ideas vocally, and I do like a lot of the melodies and some of the harmonies that we're putting in place there. And I think that even some of like the little touch kind of whispery bits, almost sort of ASMR-ish kind of stuff, is really cool too. A lot of it comes down to how we implement it with the production. I still feel like if we are finding, we might want to explore different microphones just to explore different tones and sounds for our voices. But I also understand when we're starting out, or even like down the line, we may just be happy with our tone. And if that's what it is, that's totally fine. I respect that. I would still recommend, if we can filter below 100 hertz, we do that. But aside from that, it's all good. I think like with the actual backing parts there, outside of the technique we're showing there, which is solid. And I like the fact that we did some rapping as well. I like the flexibility we have. It's also good that we were comfortable with allowing each individual kind of beat kind of represent maybe the feelings that we have about the situation. We aren't trying to sort of cater or adhere to a style. It's more a situation where we're simply trying to provide an environment where we can sit down and appreciate the sort of the talk about it, like the monologue about it. I do like that the second track, Cutthroat, was a little bit more intense, but I also enjoyed that it wasn't super intense, if that makes sense, because I feel like there's a propensity for a lot of people with songs like this to sort of make the music sound how angry they are about it, or even maybe to do the opposite, to like go the other spectrum and just act like they don't care, or even celebrate it in a sort of like a snarky, sarcastic way, which is totally their creative right. But here it's more like we're showing that we're bothered by it, but we're also trying to focus on the fact that we're trying to move on and sort of take care of ourselves. I don't think there's any issues with this instrumentally. I feel like compositionally, stuff goes between really neatly, structurally, nice and short, 2 to 3 minutes. Production-wise, I think the actual beats themselves are totally fine. So I'm wondering if this is a situation where we've gotten a hold of backing tracks or instrumental parts, and we're kind of putting our vocals on top of those. And if that is the case, totally fine. Totally fine. Don't get me wrong. It's just more a situation where I think that it's just, if we can in future, just to even further help the vocals kind of blend in, if we aren't already doing this, it could be good to try and get the individual stems for these beats. But if we're happy with the sound of it at the same time, it's fine. Just aside from the EQing stuff, again, a lot of this is really positive, and I'm being careful about this because, as I understand it, I think they've just started their YouTube channel, so this is a new thing for them, and I appreciate it. When everyone's starting out, we're sort of figuring stuff out, but it's a good start, and I wish them the best of luck with their YouTube and their music. Because thank you for watching my review of these tracks from an act named Navashia Akins, titled Last Time, Cutthroat, and Touch Me, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.